We finally hit the 60% mark this week for fully vaccinated New Mexicans, saving face for Governor Michelle Houlihan Grisham's choice to move ahead with her plan to reopen New Mexico on July 1st. That means no more occupancy or public gathering restrictions. And of course, only those who have not been vaccinated will still be required to wear masks. Now, those restrictions have been in place now in some form or fashion since March of 2020. That's 15 months ago. Here to discuss what it all means in this week's virtual Line Opinion panel, we'll start with Line regular and UNM Law School professor Serge Martinez. Welcome back, Serge. We're also joined by attorney and public safety consultant Ed Perea. And rounding out our Zoom group this week is Giovanna Rossi, president of Collective Action Strategies. Welcome back, Giovanna. We're just shy of that 60% vaccination threshold when the governor acted, Serge. Here's my question. Do you agree with the governor's decision to basically say, close enough? Or should we have put this off a week or two to really just get there?
I think there's nothing magical about 60%. It was somewhat arbitrary. We were pretty close. I think from a practical standpoint, pushing this off any further would be, politically ill-advised and untenable. It is, I don't know how much difference it might even make in most people's day-to-day lives to say we're open now.
Right.
But I think pushing it off any further, I can't believe it lasted as long as it did, frankly. And to say we're 0.6 of a percentage point off, we're going to push this off there'd be rioting in the streets, I would imagine.
Well, people were ready to go. There's no doubt on that. Ed Perea, interestingly, New Mexico had one of the earliest, most restrictive public health orders, as you know, in the country. Our vaccination rollout, one of the most successful in the country, as you know. But what are you going to be looking for down the line here? I mean, should we keep the push? Should we just let nature take its course? How should we handle this from this point forward?
I think all along we have to take this virus seriously, and I think many people have. Many entities have taken it seriously. We see the ramifications of not taking something of this sort seriously. We know that there are variants out there. We know that there's the Delta variant that of the new infections. I think the United Kingdom, 90% of those people are being inflicted by this Delta variant. And here in the United States, it's 20%. So we don't know what this virus is going to do yet. And it's probably would best serve our society if we err to the side of caution. And let's not be too quick to get out there and get back to whatever that normal is. I've heard the term a new normal used, and I'm still not sure exactly what that is. I think there's more to come, but I think we really ought to continue to approach this cautiously. This virus is dangerous, as it's been proven to be. And so let's take our time and be prudent with all the decisions, whether personally or as a society, as to how we approach it and move forward from here.
Good point there. Giovanna, this idea, I just want to continue with, what was the right way to go here? It's easy to look back, certainly, in anything in life, but was the governor on track here? I mean, there's a balance here between opening businesses, getting the economy going, and keeping us safe. Certainly, did she wait too long? Should we have waited for that 60% threshold? Where do you come down on this?
I mean, I think the governor's done a really good job at managing this whole thing. It's a tough decision. It's been a long time. People are really ready for it to be over. I think no matter what she does, there's going to be criticism on both sides. But I think she did a great job with, setting a goal. Like Serge said, the 60% is a little bit arbitrary. It's a great number to go for. It was important for her to have a goal and to show, real commitment and hard work to get there, which she did, and the state did. For me as a parent of young children, it's a little bit of a different feeling for me. I don't, the opening up doesn't mean what it means for other people probably. I have one child who's completely vaccinated, a 12-year-old, and I have one who's 9 and is, not vaccinated at all. And with the Delta variant predicted to be the predominant variant by August here,
That's right.
That's pretty scary. And so, I'm like, fine, great, let's open up July 1st. However, I will still be wearing a mask with my daughter, and I am worried about school still. Like, school is supposed to open back up in August, and like, I haven't really heard much of anything about that. I think there's a whole big conversation that needs to happen there.
I would agree with that. Yeah, Serge, interestingly, there's so many questions. How will businesses know if someone's vaccinated or not? Require them to wear a mask walking in the door? How does that work?
But I mean, obviously, right, you can either be vaccinated or just lie about it and no one knows. And
Right.
this is what, I think when I said a lot of folks, it won't change their lives or their behavior, right? Folks like Giovanna, who are very concerned, will continue to take the precautions that they would have taken anyway. Just, saying that we're open doesn't mean, okay, no one takes precautions, no one wears masks. And I think, the people who are concerned will continue to be concerned and take precautions, or should do.
Serge, Giovanna just brought up UNM. I'm sorry, my fault there, Serge. Giovanna just brought up UNM. And, there's still some question about whether students and everybody else walking on campus is going to have to be vaccinated and prove it to come back on campus. What's your sense of that? I'm not asking you to speak for the university, certainly, or the law school. Don't worry there. But what's your personal sense of it?
Yeah, I mean, I personally think it would be a good move to require anybody who can be vaccinated to be vaccinated, to be part of take classes, to be part of the university. Proving that, I mean, it probably seems to be fairly straightforward to forge that based on the little, homemade piece of paper I got when I got my vaccines. But I think sending that message that this is a priority for us, and you can do whatever you want in your personal life, but if you want to be part of our system and part of this, then you need to show concern, not just for yourself, but for the rest of us, is perfectly valid and something that I would like to see pushed here at the university.
Ed Perea, I got to ask, not just the university, but for any other business that's, looking to either let people in or not based on their vaccination, is this a legal ask? Do you know what I'm getting at here? I mean, you can ask, but does it stand up legally if somebody doesn't want to comply, basically?
And people have options, right? Businesses have the choices to what their rules are, as long as they don't violate certain constitutional protections. The question is does a person have a right to choose whether they wear a mask or not? And I don't think so. The courts have pretty much ruled on that already. So now, although we're opening up fully on July 1, the businesses will still continue to have the option as to what policies they will use for their customers. And if someone chooses not to agree with the policy, they don't have to do business with the business. But it's definitely within the business's right.
But let me bounce back to Serge. That's a privately held company is one thing. A public institution is a whole nother matter. Does this stand up legally for a public institution like UNM?
Great question. I mean, we'll find out in lots of different challenges.
Yes, we will.
My kids go to a public school and are required to be vaccinated to attend that school, right? So, I mean, it's not one-to-one, but the idea is not altogether unprecedented.
Giovanna, I got to go back to what you were mentioning about your kids. I think you touched on something that is very relatable for a lot of folks watching this show and all over the country, all over our state. For example, Roosevelt County is only 30% vaccinated, if you think about it. About opening. Not all places are Bernalillo County or Santa Fe or any place else. We have several counties where the vaccination rate is still very, very low. Does this concern you as a parent? Because, you cannot silo your children once they're in a school environment.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. It's a concern. And some counties are doing extremely well, 80%. In some counties, and then we have very low rates in other counties. I think that there has to be a real focus here for schools for opening back up in August. And Bernalillo County, where I live, I'm planning for my daughter to attend school like she did at the end of the school year last school year, with a mask and all of that. But yeah, some of the counties with lower vaccination rates, it's a real concern, and I'm hoping, I haven't really heard what the plans are, but I'm hoping there are some discussions and planning, going on for how that's going to happen. I just do want to say though that throughout all of this, public health and safety has been number one priority for the governor, which is great. Economic prosperity for businesses and families has also been, a concern and a focus, which is great. And I think children have been sort of left out of the conversation for the most part. And so I really would like to see that change.
Good points there. It's all the time we have this week for COVID. Up next, the countdown is also in full effect for legalized cannabis in New Mexico, and there are a ton of decisions that go into the June 29th deadline.